Welcome back to Anime Savants, everyone. This week I am Soshiro Hoshina from Kaiju number 8.
Damn. Yeah, we back. This week, I'm the man Linling, aka Nice.
Oh, okay.
From we'll talk about it, from 2B Hero X.
Yeah. And all right, let's just hop into like what you've been watching. What have I been watching? And some disappointments from the Gooners getting shit renewed because I can't believe this. But well, actually, speaking of Kaiju number 8, I watched Kaiju number 8. I guess just in time because the second season is this season. Like it started. Yep. Yeah. Anyways, that shit was amazing. That shit, from the character development, the pacing, introducing new people, the dynamics amongst the characters in relation to Homeboy, to Kafka, and also the fact that they kept bringing up like the age. Like I really enjoyed how much they were just like, yeah, he's in his 30s, like he's da-da-da. And you have all these like younger, like 20-year-old, 18, 19-year-olds, like ripped motherfuckers coming out here doing all this kind of stuff. And it's a constant theme that they kept bringing up with him, basically being like, oh, he's older, but like he is still useful in so many ways. Especially with like the training exercise going like awry, and his power levels in their suit doesn't even get it going up like at a rapid pace. It's not like he is coming into it like naturally. It's like, no, he still has no compatibility with that damn suit, and he's still so useful because of his knowledge from cleaning all of the monsters. And it's just like, I love shit like this. Like this makes sense. Like this is like good storytelling. And then I don't even like the animation is just, yeah, like, I mean, we all know the animation was fucking crazy. Like, it's amazing. It's amazing. But I also loved how they literally were like, yeah, we just got done with that battle. Like, that was crazy. Boom, we're attacking the base. Like, immediately, like crazy motherfuckers coming out of nowhere, da-da-da. To the point where when he did the reveal, I didn't even think the reveal was going to happen this season. I thought he was going to do this for a while, and maybe near the end of the story, there was going to be like, okay, I have no choice to do it. This shit happened. I was like, oh, so that means like the last like arc kind of is him like fighting for his life in another sense, like to not be killed. And then they wrapped that shit up with him going toe to toe with the head, and in the like underground bunker, the bunker is about to get be broken apart from like the craziness. He's losing control. Homegirl's like, damn, are you really my friend? Like, blah, blah, blah. Like, so many dynamics being played off of each other simultaneously, but it's done so well. And yeah, I'm late, but I'm caught up now in time for season 2.
Kaiju number 8
and you're a manga reader.
Fantastic. Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think when it got animated, our reaction at the time was like, oh yeah, they're putting some real juice behind it, right?
Yeah.
Like it was not getting a kind of hand wavy second tier treatment. This was one of them ones. And I think the first season absolutely lived up to it. I had questions going in just as far as like how much they were going to adapt, because in all the trailers they only showed up until the training fight. Or the second training that kind of goes wrong. And so I was like, okay, that felt like a decent place to stop if you're going to stop. But they actually went, I want to say like four to 6 chapters past that to get to the fight with, what was the captain's name? Kuro's the guy he gets with afterwards, but but that fight, that actually, now having like watched the season back, I think it was probably a better place to end because of what happens, very quickly afterwards to kind of gets the story moving in a good direction. Kaiju number 8 is not a super long manga. I think they got to, or
close, they just announced it's close.
It's close. So it's maybe like 200 chapters, something like that. So there's despite what manga readers may feel or want the story to do, I think they're doing it. There's like a possibility of a prequel spin-off that would take place during the original like Heian era Monster Hunter, so like the first one, because they talk about how a lot of this dates back to a previous time.
And they also have like the weapons and stuff from those monsters.
Yeah, and I'm curious if they decide to go down that road, knowing where we are in the current storyline, what mystery there might be or mystique to draw on, since a lot of things are getting explained. But even in the anime, where we're at right now, there's a lot. I love the fact that you don't know very much, right? Like, the monsters are just kind of showing up, I think it ended in a good place. I was really I was satisfied with that season. And then we have the second season to look forward to, coming up real soon in July, which is, as of recording, a day away. No, I super enjoyed that. I caught up on quite a bit of stuff. We're not going to get through like everything. I guess of the more like recent, or at least this current season, I'm watching To Be Hero X kind of as an experiment. I think I came to it having seen a clip of something from episode 8. So I didn't know when I saw the clip, I didn't know kind of the context or like when it was from. And I was like, oh, wow, this is some like really good hand-drawn animation. Would it be my surprise when I boot up episode 1 and we're getting this like very interesting style of highly stylized, cel-shaded I would call it more like cartoon than anime influenced animation. But then every episode they will bounce, especially when the action heats up, to a hand-drawn style that is very unique. It actually feels like something I'm going to remember being, you know, special to this series, and not just, oh, we're doing anime now. It becomes, again, it's very like, it's an interesting blend of Western style cartoon, kind of slick, modern or post-futurist, like 3D CGI, but it kind of has a little bit of like anime influence even in the 3D parts. And as you sort of watch forward, they find different areas to bring in the anime. So in the first few episodes, it's like, oh, when they're fighting or when there's action happening, you get the hand-drawn animation. In later episodes, they actually dedicate that to some character moments. And I've been having a really good time watching it, just as like a, you know, something to dip into. But it did make me think a lot about other Chinese-produced series. The one I watched before, or I didn't finish it, but I got pretty deep into, was Dragon Raja, which I also think is, I think it's worthwhile.
Is that based off of a game or something?
I don't know. Actually, that's a good question. I should know that. But the interesting thing about all these like Chinese producers, I wonder what your experience has been, kind of, because I know you watch a little bit of To Be Hero, but there's other stuff that's been out there. It's like there's something, they're good, especially the ones I'm watching are like, there's money behind it, animation is well produced, like usually sometimes some good music, the stories can be pretty interesting, but there's just something about like the pacing and something about the way in which like exposition is handled or details about the world are handled. It's like missing. It's like you're eating a sandwich. It's like, you know, you get like a BLT or something, you bite it and there's like no lettuce. Lettuce is not the most important thing in a BLT, but when it's not there, it's just a piece of bacon on bread. You could have like, you know, and a tomato, you could have like the nicest piece of bacon, you have a great bun, but like something as minor as like the lettuce either missing or not being right, kind of, it'll get to you. You'll think about it like, why isn't this here? Like something is off about what, and that's the feeling I get watching a lot of these, even though I'm enjoying what I'm watching. Yeah. But I don't know if you've had that experience at all.
I mean, I don't have much experience at all. This is pretty much the first Chinese like show that I've been like behind. I guess like my other experiences with like Chinese media would be BL. And they at one point they had the best BL like on TV, and they canceled that shit because it was too popular, and they were like, not with these gay niggas. Absolutely not. So that's kind of like my other experience. I haven't read many like Chinese BL, even though I do know it's a huge portion of the BL market as far as like those like Three Kingdoms like setting, but like BL set in like that time period, stuff like that. And so I don't really know much about the pacing, but I would say like with To Be Hero, I am interested, but maybe it's because I'm not far enough. Maybe because I've only been through like, you know, the nice like arc or whatever.
Yeah.
So I haven't gotten that comparison to like, I guess the next arc, or I probably just haven't seen enough of the show. But for me, I think I'm getting what I'm looking for, which is like, I don't think this is like, you know, breaking barriers or anything like that. But I really enjoy when they do the swaps in style. I think it is a very cool show. Just on the eyes as a whole, the way that they have animated everything, especially with like, you know, the cell shaded CG, but it's specifically during those fight scenes where the fight scenes go like, it's just like a rock passes by and it's like in 2D, and then they're like doing a whole combo, and then something else flips by and it's in something else. It's like, it's really, 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 really cool. And I guess maybe the only thing that might be that on the top of my mind what might lend to that is maybe there might be too many characters. So maybe they're like, it's not intentionally focusing on like a solid story. It's more so of like the individual. It's like the vignette-ish kind of story.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't have other Chinese media to compare it to specifically when it's like, and because you watched the Outsiders.
The Outsiders. Yeah. So let's talk about like the first few episodes of To Be Hero, just like because I know you've gotten through those first 4. So those cover the story of Nice, or AKA like Lin Ling, and it's like to me, if you only watch that, you might think that the message that the entire show is trying to talk about is explicitly about like the way in which the expectations of an audience, you know, weigh on people, because that's kind of the story, right? Like the original Nice commits suicide, which I think was like a pretty aggressive way to kick the story off, even though they almost immediately go to comedy. And I was like, whoa, we just had somebody off themselves in the first 5 minutes. Not even like, it wasn't even like, you know, insinuating that he did it. You literally watch this guy walk past the main character, give him a thing, and then fall, and then go boop, boop, and then he looks down, and he's like, oh shit, he's definitely dead. Like, that boy gone. He gone. And you're like, oh, okay, is that the tone that they're going for? And they constantly, I think, and it shows up in some of the other stories too, like, there's this, they're playful about a lot of things, but then there'll be like some very gritty, you know, disgusting reality that hits you, like when Lin Ling is having these like wacky flashbacks to the girl being dead, the what's her face, the you know, like that was, they end the first episode with a fake cliffhanger, making you think that like she somehow wound up dead in his apartment, which is like bleeding everywhere.
I never thought that was fake. I thought, I was like, something happened. Like,
when I watched episode 1, I was like, oh, she's dead. Like, I was like, I'm ready, because they primed me for it with the suicide, you know, but that's not where we went with that story. Instead, it became more about like his acting as the hero, the perfect hero, and then how the people's adoration of him and their expectations of him they gave him all the powers that the other guy had, because people expected that. And then you get the side story kind of about the girlfriend who, you know, her powers were also tied to him because of people's expectations. So I'm watching that thinking, this is very clearly an allegory for social media and the pressure of social media on celebrity, right? Like, everything about this seemed to be going down that road.
With that episode about like the dude, like the who held stuff up, and like that one really drove it home, where it was just like, oh, the trust energy or whatever, like, it's not all just like, you know, good stuff, right? Like, people, he was miserable the whole time.
I didn't like that guy's name. His name was Firm Man. I'm like, come on, bro. What are we talking about? What is this? Like, what are we talking about?
And did that girl go to jail? I want to know that too.
Yeah, and then like, and they constantly do that. Yeah, right. They constantly do that thing where they're like, you'll get kind of a goofy, silly portrayal, and then at the end of that episode, episode 3, you see he's like, you don't understand. Like, there's downsides to being a hero. I have not slept like since I got my powers, and they show his like recliner thing, and he had to be like upright. I'm like, wait a minute, how do these fucking powers work? Like, this is not good. that was kind of where I had that first thought about like the pacing and what is going on, because the first 4 episodes kind of sort of tell a complete story about Nice, but when you end it, I didn't fully understand if like the message of him admitting that he was an imposter but still getting everybody's, trust back.
Yeah.
I don't know if that fit with where we started in episode 1 with the original Nice buckling under the pressure and committing suicide. It seemed like they were going in 2 different directions. So I was like, okay, cool. Because when you get to episode 5, which you have not seen, we start another arc, and this one is about a character named Isol, who is one of the top heroes. Not like, I think he's like number 2 or number 3, so he's very high up. And okay. But the story follows an actor who plays him on stage for children. So that actor's rise to essentially supplant the original Isol and their confrontation. And then the third story is about one of the characters that they introduce. If you watch the first 4 episodes, this is a character that has shown up but has never been a part of the story. It's that the K-pop girl, Lucky Scion. She's actually a hero, and the story is kind of about her tragic backstory and then how she became a hero. But it basically takes place prior to all of the events of the first 2 arcs. So that's as far as I've gotten. Is those I finished all 3 of those stories.
Air this next season.
Right. So they all kind of interweave with each other, but none of the characters actually ever interact with each other. They're sort of like in the second vignette, the Isol story, the character who is the actor is a big fan of Lucky Scion, and him getting tickets to her show is a part of the romance subplot that he has with another character in that, right? So there are things when I'm watching this, I'm like, there's some meat on this. The critique of like the society through the trust system, the way in which the powers are almost completely tied to how everybody else feels about you in a given moment. A little bit about like the villains, but like that they're not giving a lot there. It's not quite Monster of the Week, but it's also we're not getting a lot of information, and they're not building up any of these villains to be particularly deep. In the nice one, the God's like Eye / whatever, that character.
Yeah,
like he becomes a villain.
Organization?
Yeah, well, it seems like there's an organization because he gets his evil powers from them.
Yeah.
Right. But I guess the point I'm trying to get to is like, there's a lot that they're trying to do. I don't know if there's like a commitment. And maybe that's what I'm feeling in a lot of these things, like a commitment to one idea. There's a lot of just like random exposition, and then we just like completely change tones, like in a whiplash kind of jarring kind of way. But it's still like it's a really fun show. Like I've enjoyed it, especially I've not finished it because obviously this is the arc that's running right now. But with Queen and that character who was introduced as a child very briefly in the Lucky Scion thing, her character's pretty cool, and the shit that she's going through is like almost feels like it's a criticism of like the Chinese government. But I'm not here to say, maybe not. I don't know. That's what. So there's stuff.
Well, this is original, right? Because there was like To Be Hero, and then that one I don't know if it flopped or something, but like they said that there's To Be Hero and then To Be Hero X. This is anime original.
Oh, okay. Then maybe that's what it is. So yeah, the idea of like this faith and the trust stuff. I'm cool, and I'm gonna continue watching, and I really like it. And there's some absolutely fantastic animation. Usually, you get a good like 5 to 7 minutes of like hand-drawn stuff in every episode. But the 3D animation is actually not bad. There's a lot of like good timing and like rhythm to how the characters kind of move around the world. I will just say that there's a lot of things that don't make any sense, and it's not a translation issue. Like even the power system is kind of absurd if you really think about it. Like the world should be in a lot worse shape if like people liking someone just gave them superpowers from the internet. Like there's the way all this works is kind of and also it's like things move very quickly because in the when you get to the Isol thing, guy goes from like nobody actor to literally fighting the dude hand to hand to replace him in an arena like within several months. This is not like a right. So it felt very like Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, but like not in a great way. Like kind of in a like we crib notes from this. Let's just quickly like get to the shits and move on. So
yeah,
I'm enjoying it, but I have like questions about why I have this uncanny valley feeling about it as a story. Because I watch a lot of trash. We both watch a lot of trash, so I know trash. You know trash, right? And we'll probably move on to something else that gets to this. But like sometimes trash just has to know what it is and just get to the shits.
And yeah, and even the non-trash needs to get to it. Just get to the damn point. I mean, speaking of trash in some people's minds and godliness in others, I get like Solo Leveling, the big debate or whatever the hell. I know people were like pissy about that winning anime of the year. And so I saw a comment online that said it perfectly. It's solo aura farming. Because that's all that nigga does.
It is. Yeah,
it truly is. All after a certain point in that story, once he became like, and that's the thing though, he didn't even want to become like S rank popular. He literally just wanted to save his mom. But the moment he saved his mom, that nigga said, I'm a aura farming off all you niggas. The way that he waited until the very last damn second to show up with them damn ants, I was like, okay, yeah,
there was no reason for that. This nigga,
yeah, you're pushing it now. Like, God, like you're strong, but come on. It was, and they've done that before. They've done that, like him showing up or like da. So I get it. But the reason why the show won Anime of the Year, even though it did a whole bunch of like cliffhangers and overframe and all that stuff like that, is because that's just what a lot of anime watchers are into. Now, I'm not saying like it is the top and it is like what everyone's into, but it's definitely like it's shonen, it's action, and a lot of people have really short attention spans, and that's all they really want to see. They just want to see niggas beat each other up with like power dynamics, like different power dynamics. And so like when people are comparing it to like Frieren and Apothecary Diaries, the majority of anime fans will not sit down and watch that damn show. You know what they will sit down and watch? Attack on Titan's first episode. And they'll be like, what the fuck is this? Oh my God, I can't believe that happened. And then you get more world building stuff like that. Like there's like an immediate draw of like action and like, action and horror and things of that nature. While with Frieren, I mean, they were, in the first episode, they was chilling. Like they were chilling. Like she cried a little bit. Like had a little bit, like they started with the world building. But then the main difference for me between Solo Leveling and shows like Apothecary Diaries and Frieren is that those shows put so much more into their characters. And I feel like Solo Leveling can't even do that because these niggas dropping like flies. So they're rotating. But the world building, the character development, like all that stuff, those are like slow burn. But then once they even are not even slow burn, like they're just really, 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 really good shows for a different audience. And so those audiences just aren't big enough to vote in the anime awards.
I mean, those awards are always going to be popularity contests. And for me, I don't care who wins or loses in a year. It's good discourse to like think about like, okay, what's the most popular show of the year? And maybe why is something popular? I think like that's a perfectly reasonable thing to kind of dig into. But like the fact of who wins or doesn't win, you should not be getting upset about that for a variety of reasons. Solo Leveling is interesting
personal stake in the game. Like,
right, exactly. Unless you got stock in some Japanese production company that's behind this, I think, it is what it is. Yeah. However, as someone who did actually enjoy the manhwa when it was running and recognized its, weak points and failures for what they were, I was happy to see that the aura farming was fully leaned into by the animation, because the thing about, and I think when we first talked about this years ago, I had brought up the idea that like Solo Leveling has like a interesting and maybe sort of kind of compelling story right up until the point he gets out like that second dungeon, the one with the spider, and then like then he just becomes like he solves all of his problems relatively quickly. He is no longer small, weak, or ugly. He is hot and overstated and also genius level intellect because he knows everything that's gonna, you know what I mean? Like, he's got it all figured out more or less. And the best parts of the series are when he's sort of put, the Jinwoo character is put in a position where you know that he's going to win, but he's going to have to struggle in the fight and get his ass kicked a little bit, which is funny because it's just the typical shonen Dragon Ball Z, fight arc that would be stretched out over, who knows, 30, 50, 60 chapters, condensed into like 3 every time. There's, whether it's fighting Cerberus or whether when he had the against the Crimson Knight, eventually Ignis, to when Ignis again in season 2, like the fights themselves, the conflicts, they are empty calories because by the point he gets there is no conflict. And that was always the thing that, like, when people get hot and bothered about, oh, it's peak, or Jujutsu Kaisen was a fail, solo leveling is all action, all whatever. God. I'm like, it is, but let me school y'all. There are many types of conflict in narrative storytelling. There are 4 archetypes that you see all the time. Okay, I'm not gonna. This is quick class. Man versus man. That means you have a protagonist, you have an antagonist. They believe different things. The ideologies clash. The drama comes from the clash of the ideologies, and how you resolve that can be anything. It could be a fight, a physical fight. It could be metaphorical. It could be whatever you want it to be. Man versus man. Next one, man versus self. Okay, that means that the main character has an inner conflict, and their objectives, what they want to accomplish in the story, in life, are in opposition to something they believe in, or some like long-held belief, and it's them overcoming that belief that creates the conflict and therefore the drama. Okay? Then you got man versus society. You would think this is the one that a lot of these isekai style power fantasies would lean into. That's where the character has a set of values or beliefs that are one place, and they go against something that is deemed acceptable or normal inside of like the society they live in. On paper, that's what solo leveling starts out as, right? Because Jinwoo's character is like a nobody, he's weak, and in this world, which I think is a detriment to the writing overall, all the characters have their powers assessed one time, and it's a fixed point. So the thing that makes the Jinwoo character special is that he can level up, i.e. he can improve himself through hard work. Yeah. So you're talking about a society that judges people based on inherent value that is unchanging. And then you have a main character whose value changes and improves all the time. You would think this would be the core of all of the conflicts in the story. The problem is that goes away once he becomes so OP that he can just do anything in the story. Because no one pops up. I mean, like, you watch the anime, right? You know those scenes where they're like, he was only an F-class hunter. What's going on? There's no actual drama there. Even his reveal of like having his power reassessed, they're just like, oh, it's a second awakening. So wait, so if people have second awakenings. Also,
my only like sense of, oh, something could go wrong was when Homeboy, when he came out, I think out of the second red dungeon or whatever, and he was like, oh, all the other people died, but except for this dude or whatever, da 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 da. Mm-hmm. And Homeboy like put his hand on him, and in Jinwoo's head, he was like, I don't know if I'm strong enough to go against like an S rank hunter right now. And I was like, oh, okay, so like that gave me a little bit of like the power scaling and like some bit of like, oh, the other S ranks might start hunting him or some shit like that. And then very shortly thereafter, it was very obvious that was not the case. It was just, and like, so no.
They bail on it like as a true core conflict to motivate what happens in the story. The idea of Jinwoo versus the society very quickly evaporates. Like, it's not even treated seriously by the story because it gets bogged down in the Chimera Ant arc. And by the time that's over, the other stuff, which is maybe genuinely interesting, like there's some real world building that happens afterwards, with respect to a certain type of character.
Oh, they foreshadowed a shit ton of stuff in their last episode.
Right. All that stuff is very interesting, but when you have those moments when a regular supporting character who's an asshole is like, I'm an S class, this guy's whack, I'm gonna go fight him. Like, all the tension from those sorts of conflicts are deflated very, very early in the run of the story. And yet the author keeps going back to those as like something for the characters to do. And it's like, well, it loses its punch. And then like the last one is like man versus nature. And you would think like, okay, this one may make sense because of the dungeoning aspect where you're going into these like very hostile environments with natural forces and animals and creatures and other species from alternate universes and things coming in and, you know, presenting an oppressive force that maybe the main character could overcome, except for the fact that we know that they all food. Like, they food from jump. Like, it ain't even a question. When they get locked in that gate, Jinwoo's like, bro, I'm just chilling in the woods, like, killing motherfuckers. Like, I got a bear now. Like, I just went and did that shit. So you compare something like that, it's a story that doesn't actually have any conflict in it. Because none of the conflicts are given the structure that would make them make sense. I saw someone online saying like, yo, Jinwoo versus Ignis is better than Goku versus Frieza. And I'm like, you're allowed to have that opinion. It's okay. God. I like if someone said like, I watched both, this one spoke to me, this one didn't, I'm not going to tell them that it didn't happen. Okay. What I am going to say is that Goku versus Frieza, or even a lot of these like what we think of as now classic shonen confrontations, are motivated by very clearly and very well defined character conflicts that make sense and you can explain to anybody. And the resolution of those conflicts comes through the shonen battle. That's the resolution. In Solo Leveling, nothing is resolved because there is no conflict. There is nothing.
He's gonna win.
Right. And not only is he gonna win, the things or people he's fighting don't represent anything. Right? Like, the Ant Queen doesn't represent an idea for Jinwoo to prove his superiority or the superiority of his beliefs over by one shot in that bitch. It doesn't exist. There's nothing there. None of the enemies in the story, none of the antagonists, none of the forces are representative of anything. And Jinwoo himself is not representative of anything either. He's just a dude that has stuff happen to him. So, you know, like, I enjoy it for what it is. But it's empty calories. And if you like Free Ren and you think Free Ren is like doing more, which it is, but if it speaks to you and you think it should have won, I'm not going to tell you you're wrong. What I am going to say is that, like, we're in an era where nobody cares about the substance.
Honestly, we're getting so much stuff at this point. Like, we used to get nothing. So, like, I'm watching it regardless.
And you were talking about pacing earlier, right? Like,
so that was one of the things. So I watched a whole bunch of stuff. Like, I think one thing I watched from last season was the perfect saint tossed aside by my country and sold to another country. I watched that. Red Ranger, possibly the greatest alchemist of all time. So good and funny. I watched the Underground Healer, like all kinds of stuff like that. And all of these shows range. Like, they are like maybe like B-ish to like C, D, E. Like, some of them are E, some of them are down there. But what I've noticed amongst all of them is that the pacing is so much better. And that is why I stick around for them, because and I don't know, this might be just like a thing that they've realized just as a whole, as far as like what's selling and what's not selling. But they really don't give you much time, or they don't really waste much time anymore on these shows. Like, we were talking about it earlier, like the 3-episode rule. The 3-episode rule is gone.
It's dead, bro.
Gone. If you can't do it in the first episode, it's a wrap. And I think maybe the one show that kind of like defies that a little bit for me is, like, you know, the Underground Healer from this past season, from the spring season, where its first episode really didn't do anything like phenomenal or amazing. It got better as more characters came in, as they opened it up from the slums to the rest of the city to like the Royal Academy of Healers and all kinds of stuff like that. That's where the show truly shined. Did it have an amazing budget? No, it definitely did not have a fucking amazing budget. It definitely didn't have that. But once it got moving, it didn't stop. And it hit what it wanted to hit, and it moved on immediately. And at half the time, they teased the next stuff like already within the background of like the future arc, stuff like that. So that has become the norm. Like, it's no longer just, oh, this show's kind of weird, and oh, you gotta wait like 6 episodes, or it's like every arc is like 3 to 4 episodes, so you're only getting what, like 3 to 4 arcs every season. It's like, no, these shows are moving. And it's honestly, it makes me want to watch them more, because I feel like, oh, this is not something that people like heavily invested in, but I see that there's effort put into this, and I am honestly enjoying the ride. Like, I can truly say these shows are not like horrible to the point where I'd be like, you should never watch this. I'm just saying, hey, this is interesting. It's definitely for specific people, but honestly, it's getting the basics. Like, I feel like the new level of like the basics is this, like, way better pacing, not breakneck, like, oh my God, like this happened and this happened and this happened, this happened. But I'm just saying, oh, okay, this should be wrapped up in like an episode or 2. And they do it. It's over. And it's happening with a lot of them. And then another, I guess, like my favorite genre that is coming out of this, and I see a lot of it now, so it may just be like another like wave, just like the isekai, are the abandoned party members. I'm seeing a lot of that. We're like,
we're definitely in that era now. There's like 2 or 3 of those shows every season. And honestly, that premise is so good because of the revenge. I stick around for the revenge. I'm waiting for the point where the party member or the party member's new companions experience them interact with the old party, or like, you know, throughout the story, you're seeing the previous party members fail because they don't have them anymore. Very interesting. And one show that did this really well, and it got really, really fucked up, was the I left my A level, my A rank party. It would like to like start a party with my students, and it's like 2 cores. I think it just finished this season for like 2 cores. And I watched like the first core of that, and I enjoyed the hell out of that show because, well, I enjoyed what I watched so far about that show was because the breakup of the party was multifaceted, and like the dirty stuff that the old party tried to do to homeboy, and like they actually had some of the villains redeem themselves in like multiple aspects. And this is like, okay, this is taking it a step further. It's not even just like, oh, he got his revenge. Like, yeah, fuck those guys. It's like, yeah, he got his revenge, but also like the way he didn't even want the revenge. They brought it upon themselves. And then also another person, like, well, I don't want to spoil it for y'all, because it is, I definitely recommend it. Now, it's definitely it has its fan service, but it also has its like world building, item level up, like unique items, stuff like that. And this is all within the world. And when I think we talked about this right before it had premiered, because like it's like a live streaming kind of thing where they're like live streaming themselves going into the dungeon. That's honestly, it's kind of like a lesson in marketing in a kind of way. So I was like, you know what? This show is definitely not like A tier, whatever, but it is moving along briskly. It knows exactly what it's going to do, what it wants to do, and it's hitting that shit. And we're moving on. Like arc development for all the characters. Everybody's getting a little bit of something. And the gooners are gooning. I'm sorry, they gooning. They're getting fed also. But there's like meat there, and I feel like a lot of these shows, they're like, hey, we have a story too, and we want to do this, and this is the best way to get people to stick around. Like, bang those arcs out. Like, let's go. And so, yeah,
I've enjoyed a lot of it.
On like both sides of this, because like that the popularity of that particular story trope, the abandoned party member or the fired party member or the betrayed party member, you know, when I think we're at a point, we're many years into this, but especially now that there's a lot of stuff getting animated, like what I'm looking for is something that takes the concept seriously, right? We talked a little bit before about like a story needing to be about something, right?
Yeah.
So the revenge plot is like a layer that you can have that for the most part can like motivate most of anything you want to do in that type of storytelling. You know, I guess the prior version of this same story that got popular was the what do you really call this? It's like the failed isekai, right? You got a lot of that for God knows like a decade of like, oh, the goddess summoned me, but then I got a bunch of shitty skills and she kicked me out because she's mentally handicapped and can't figure out that actually I'm the most powerful, perfect person in the world, and now I'm in the world and there's heroes who are like assholes from my life and I've got to get my revenge, you know, like that shit.
Well, I actually watched that show for this year.
Well, I mean, like there's some that was the prior trope, and then it's slowly been replaced by, it's, you know, because it's not isekai, it's been kind of somewhat replaced by the abandoned party member, because all this, it's the same idea, right? It's the what we were talking about before. This is man versus society. And then with a little bit of man versus man, because usually the main character is like, I gotta get my revenge on the evil goddess, or my classmates who I got transported with but all turned out to be dickheads, or like whatever. Like that's usually the format. But like I think we've started to get some like interesting abandoned party stories that lean either into the cheese or they lean into the revenge fantasy, and they go that direction on the, if you could think of like a scale of like, okay, if you know, 0 is a completely uninteresting, you know, cliched story that has no redeeming value, and then like, you know, maybe you go to 100 and that's like your ultra cheese, ultra fan service, tongue-in-cheek, very self-aware, I know y'all want trash, we're gonna give it to you. Yeah. We've gotten starting to get good stuff on that end. I would like to see more the other end. If a negative 100 is taking this shit dead serious. Like, don't make the party members mustache twirling, mentally handicapped, you know, supervillains who literally don't even understand anything about anything, you know, that would lead them to kick this person out because remember, they're the perfect guy. I'd love to see like a version of like a band breakup, right? Like when one, you know, like with the actual, you know, emotional complications that would lead to something like that happening, where you don't get to just instantly villainize the folks who leave the main character behind, and you also don't make the main character themselves either like a completely irredeemable sad sack of shit, or on the other hand, like the perfect guy that nobody understands. You know, like I would love to see a story that took the concept, you know, like the way Grimgar took isekai, you know, the traditional isekai structure, but layered it with a lot of like pain and like real people and loss and like people having to come to terms with the emotional trauma of that thing, but also the stress of being in the kind of world that they're in, and actually take the world building a little bit more seriously. Because I think there's a gap where a story could come in that would blow people's minds, that wouldn't really be doing anything revolutionary. It's just playing with the same cliched stuff. But like, I'm waiting for that to come. And I think that there's an opportunity to do that. Like, not to, you know, glaze Rudius, but like,
oh, well.
But that's I mean, whatever you want to say about it, it's a story that takes a bunch of well-worn cliches and tries to take them as seriously as you can, or that author could at that time. And I think like Free Ren, again, deals with a lot of cliche, but takes it in the more serious direction.
And they make it their own. Because they took it seriously.
Like, I would want to see that. That's what I'm more interested in. Because I've gotten a lot of the cheese, and you know me, I like me some cheese, but like, you know, we could do more with this. Actually have some real good villains, for example, like, ooh, not some monster of the week shit.
That is honestly one of the more difficult things. I would say, if for like those shows, for me, I think like villains, it's a hit or miss, because some of the villains, or how do I put this? Like, they have like their villain of the week, but then the villains that are presented as like the like long running, like, you know, the overarching, some of those come out to be just extremely contrived, or just like, oh, whatever, I knew this was gonna happen. And then some of them have been revealed to be, you know, like complex villains who are literally like yes, I actually am sacrificing the village because of this like selfish thing for me and my family, like for my daughter, for this, for my mother, my grandma. Like it's not just, oh, I'm bad, like I'm evil. Like it's like, no, I am literally doing this. I am making other people's lives worse because I want something out of it. It's not just like, oh, I'm gonna be happy and I'm just a bad guy. Some of those shows are hitting on that, but definitely not all of them. Like, no way. No.
I mean, that's an interesting question. What's the last like good villain that you've watched or read? Like chronologically from like the stuff that's airing now, going back, you know, season after season. Because I always struggle to find.
It's no one in Shield Hero. Nobody.
Yeah,
absolutely not. Jesus. Fuck. What's his name? Oh my god, it's off right now, but it's coming back this season. Fuck. What's his name?
So I'll give you one while you think about it. From Elusive Samurai, Takauji, like the main big bad, like, and then some of his commanders that you're introduced to over the course of the first season, like, because they don't all get killed. Like there's Satamune and some of the other ones, like people that in the story you learn a lot about them. Yes, they do like horrible, irredeemable stuff, but like each one of them are presented as like having like a very clear worldview and like ideas, and they have their own history, they have everything out, like, so I think, but like Takauji is like the main big bad from that one, and I remember just like, man, it felt good to have like a real honest to god, like well written action anime villain that you could like sink your teeth into, and like you genuinely want the heroes to overcome the challenges presented by that person and win.
So I really enjoyed Zeno from Dr. Stone.
Oh yeah. That show has a lot of good villains.
Yeah, when they Ibara from the arc before that, I enjoyed him for what he was, but he wasn't like Zeno, and I think I like him so much because of, you know, that he has a background with the main character, and that like he literally, like, I don't know if you want to call him like he became like disillusioned, but like he literally, I don't know, because I feel like I would like, if you've watched the most recent season of Dr. Stone, or if you've like read it before, then you understand how like different Zeno is compared to the other villains, because like the other villains were sometimes like nature or like getting through a season or something like that with Dr. Stone. And as they came out of the Stone Age, because they are beyond it kind of at this point, they're just trying to lift the rest of the world out of it. But then they introduced someone who like Zeno, who has gone beyond hitting all the milestones that it took them a few years to hit. Like he came out the gate running, knew exactly what he wanted to do and went for it. And this is a villain who basically is just like, power wins. Like we need guns. We need to bring back like the status quo of the old world, which is whoever has the weapons wins everything, like period. And you have like Tsukasa, not Tsukasa, but you know, you have the Dr. Stone crew who, they're youthful. So, they have a different mindset of the world. But then also he came at the perfect time where it's like, oh yeah, you guys actually have to consider that like all humans are not inherently like nice people or good. And they've experienced that within their own communities growing up. And when like they went to the Origin Island and all kind of stuff like that. But there are going to be people like Zeno everywhere who are like, hey, I know that, the world could be peaceful, but I don't want that. I want to actually like rule over this stuff. And I have the power and the knowledge to make that happen. So I'm going to do it. And then he has that relationship with, oh my God, what the fuck is his name? The main character. Why can't I remember?
Senku.
Damn.
Yeah.
They shot the nigga and everything. Right? He got sniped and everything. Like, yeah. I enjoyed like the escalation that occurred during Zeno's arc, where it's kind of just like, yeah, no, y'all, I mean, technically they did make it through with science and like, the power of friendship and hard work. They did. But the stakes that he brought to it, and then the fact that they didn't defeat him based off of where they're in the anime, they didn't defeat him. They had to kidnap him. And Stanley is now like, I'm on y'all's ass. Like, I'm coming to kill you niggas. Like, I'm coming to kill you and get him back. And that like relationship that like the moment where they were like, oh, hey, we have Senku in our sights. Do we shoot him? And you could see him like go over all the stuff. Like he literally mentored Senku for years. Yeah. And then he went over that stuff and he said, yeah, shoot him. I'm like, okay. Like,
well, Dr. Stone is a really good example of what I was talking about before, because in that story, essentially every arc is all 4 of those primary character conflicts. Like every arc is that, right? You have a primary villain. That villain serves as the main antagonist for basically all of the protagonists. Usually that villain has a opposing ideology of some kind. I think the first dude, survival of the fittest, you know, whatever. We talk about Zeno and his thing is like science is power. It's not just a thing to like liberate people to be the best they can. It's a way to control people. So there you instant ideological opposition. That's like a one-on-one thing. Every one of the main characters can pose themselves against that and test their personal ideology against that person's ideology. Boom, you get that. Then you get man versus the society, right? Because every one of the main villains also comes along with a group of people who they've organized in a very different way than the way the main characters group happens to be organized at that time. And so the conflict between, you know, and a lot of time also they'll like, it doesn't start out like everyone's trying to kill each other. It'll be like, oh, let's meet, let's do this, let's integrate, and then something arises where they're like, okay, we can't live together peacefully, whatever that is. So then you get that part. Then, of course, you get like man versus nature. Literally, the world that they are born into is a hostile alien place. And that's like the core mystery, and different characters use it against each other. And then the last one is like man versus man. The idea, like when they talk about Zeno, you brought him up, they make a point that not just Senku, but every person who is part of Zeno's sort of like, you know, not subordinates, but like mentees, people who was taught by, have incredibly strong like mental self-image where they kept themselves awake for 3,000 years.
Yeah.
They are literally battling themselves. They're battling madness. They're battling whatever, and locked in their own minds. Like that's the core. That's like the basis for like half the characters in the series is overcoming themselves and overcoming some, you know, something that exists only in their own. I mean, like that's why Dr. Stone is so compelling, is because it hits all and others. I'm not just saying that those are the only way you can tell a story, but like,
yeah,
you know, there's a difference between that and something like a Solo Leveling. Okay, guys, it's just different. You have to understand that it's different.
So, but yeah, that's my most recent favorite villain, which I'm excited for the next one, the next season, because I want to see how they're gonna do this on the world stage, and that even it gives them like a sense of urgency, which they already have like a goal, a timeline, and like, you know, what they want to do and with the world and getting to the moon and like all that kind of shit. So it's just like, okay, but to have the ever present like Stanley after them, after all the feats that Stanley did in the most recent act, just like dog walking their asses, it's like, yeah, this is actually like a sense of urgency. Like if y'all get caught, you're not just gonna get caught, you're gonna die. So okay.
So you said that you caught up with Red Ranger.
Yeah. First of all, and I know we talk about like comedy a lot on this show, but this shit's fun. That shit is like they are leaning into it, and it's funny. It's love like, it. Whew. The way like after every character gets introduced to the Zords, and they're just like, bitch, you just gonna bring the Zords out? You're just gonna bring them out? Like, is that what you're gonna do? And it's like, he's like, well, actually, yes. I can and I will bring them out. Like, sure. That's great. But also, you know, like the power dynamics, the general, like, you know, antagonistic force of the series, the princess being, you know, one of the ways that it can be purified, but she has like a certain stamina system. The elves, oh my God, that forest was so freaky with all those like needles. I was like, that's actually like dangerous as fuck. Like I'd be afraid as hell living in something like that. With the desert town, like overall, the entirety of the show, I loved it. And then my favorite was them going into the fucking forest with the elves, and then there being like an Egyptian style Sentai Ranger passed down. I was like, this show's getting better and better. better and better after every episode. I'm not even sorry to say it. I was like, I can see how the original premise would basically be like, I mean, yeah, that's a cute experiment, but it works. It works so well, like so well. I like it a lot.
I think so I have a thing about, comedy is tough to translate between cultures, but there are some things that are just funny. I think the rule of threes is, when it comes to comedy, is just a universal thing. Like, you see a gag one time, you might chuckle. You see it a second time, you're like, okay, I've seen it before. You see it a third time, you laugh again because it just came back around. And there's a lot in, like, literally the first 5 minutes of the first episode where it's like, oh, the writers and the production staff, they get what funny is, and they found a formula that they could repeat over the entire at least the run that I've seen so far in the anime, the first season, that is repetitively one of it. Just like, you look forward to the moment, and that moment usually is Togo pulls out some random wacky ass shit, and people don't know what the fuck they're supposed to do with that. Like, when he pulled the gun out in episode 1, and just started vapor, and I was like, oh.
And even the combined, like the group gun, and like he pulls that shit out.
They didn't even want to be a part.
Yeah. And then they couldn't shoot it because it was like, and I was like, okay, great. But another thing that I really liked about the show was, whatever her name is, but like the mage girl, and how like her dad used to be the royal mage, and that stuff.
Idra?
Yeah. I really, really enjoyed, like, and this was short, like, like during that little arc where when they went back to the Mage Academy or like the Mage headquarters or stuff like that, and she thought the Red Ranger had betrayed her trust and blah, 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 stuff like that. And then he ended up opening her mind to basically being like, okay, the new Royal Mage might not be a bitch, and I actually can contribute in a certain way. And I was like, oh, wow. So like, she's actually showing like self-reflection, and then like immediately pivoted into saying, hey, so I still have that same goal of becoming a royal mage again, but also like I do still want to help people, like, because she and her dad's legacy was using magic to help people, while this royal mage is more so just like, we got shit to deal with, like the seeds, like all that kind of stuff. Like, she wasn't the villain that we were made out to believe that she was. And I was like, oh, I like that part a lot, because I was thinking like, oh, this royal mage bitch is she's behind everything, like she's the villain, like da 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 da. And then they took a little pivot. So yeah.
I mean, there's enough here and there to subvert expectation. Remember, we talked a little bit before about how, like, if something knows what it is, it just needs to deliver on that thing as hard as possible. Yeah. And if it's really fucking stupid, sometimes you just have to be really fucking stupid. Don't try to pretend like it's not stupid. Lean into the stupidity of it. And that's exactly how I felt when I was watching, was it episode 2 or 3, when this nigga pulled out a magic sword and the other nigga pulled out a goddamn megazord. And I was like, oh, they know what they're doing. Yeah. They know exactly what the fuck they're doing. That shit had me fucking rolling.
And also the fact it's like, I know they drop the hints that like another ranger's been there before, like stuff like that. But the fact that he can even like do that stuff in that world, and then like the crystals having like the relationship with like,
sure, they tried to make energy. It make some sense.
Yeah, they tried to make it make sense, and I was like, you know what, that's a lot of effort. This could have just been a gag show. It could have just been a gag show. But,
yeah, like it did a little here and there, but I also noticed that every time they try to get a little serious, they'd just like, there'd be some panel. Or it wouldn't even be like animated. It might be like a literal still image of like Idra's massive rack.
Yes,
that makes absolutely no sense.
They leaned into that. Yeah, they did. I mean, which that rack is honestly what got a lot of people to watch, probably.
Yeah, like, clearly.
Yeah, but
yeah. So the shit like that, I don't criticize. Okay, because there's no pretense of what was happening here. None whatsoever.
I was pleasantly surprised. I thought.
Yeah, I definitely enjoyed it. Again, it was laughs. It was like real fucking laughs. There was a lot of like, it didn't reach the level of Cautious Hero to me, which I think is one of the single funniest things that in anime I have watched in the last 10 years. Like, it is up there with
Nichijou
and like, but like I could go back and watch episodes and be cackling just as hard as the first time I saw it. And there's a couple of moments I think in Red Ranger that start to get to that level of outrageousness, but there's not necessarily like a single gag that I would say like I was always looking forward to any more than just like Togo pulling out some new ridiculous shit of the week. But like, damn, fuck, that made me think about Cautious Hero. Like,
well, one of my
when he accelerated, girls like, finally, you know, he believes in me, and and then he just like, he's like, hold on, her fucking face, and her titties popping everywhere.
Yeah,
they're going to like Mach 7. Anyway, that's.
I mean, one of my favorite things is like seeing random Nichijou clips. And people being this is so funny. What is this show? Oh my god, blah blah blah. And it's like, oh wow, there are people who get. Oh,
you sweet summer child, you don't know.
Oh wow, oh my god,
you don't know. Yeah. You don't know what peak really is.
Which I did think that the Shiko Noko 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 Koshi Tantan show was going to be the second coming of Nichijou. It wasn't quite. It wasn't
because it had basically one joke. And the thing about Nichijou is that they just by the structure of it, there was so much variety. And so, and again, like we talk about rule of 3, there's like certain gags. What was the girl's name who you see she's like drawing
and
stuff.
It's always BL. It's
right,
always
exactly,
BL.
but like it's not revealed, and then that becomes the joke. The joke is her being horrified that anyone else knows who she's drawing and what she's drawing.
Because she's always drawing the people that she knows. Yes.
It's fucking relatable. What else?
But yeah, I guess like that was my general thing about you know, all the stuff that I've watched. I did catch up on Slime season 3 as well, and I completely understand why people were complaining about it because it was just a shit ton of world building, and I loved it. I loved every moment of it. I loved it. I liked all of the like, you know, after they set up the stuff, which. You know what? They did such a good job with the promotional material, making it seem like it's going to be an all-out battle with the church and all this kind of shit like that. And then the church didn't even want that. Like, it truly wasn't meant to be anything like that. It was literally just a misunderstanding. So, pardon me.
Yeah, the only thing I felt, you know, some kind of way about watching season 3 was like, man, a lot of the world building they're doing here really might have been better earlier.
Yeah.
I always got the feeling like watching each season, like the author is filling in the gaps as he's thinking of it. And I'm like, some of these ideas are pretty good and it doesn't feel completely like it comes out of nowhere. But I feel like the story and the characters and a lot of the things that occur plot wise would have been more impactful if we had been given a little bit more of that before they happen. Cause it's like, the pattern. It's like beat this demon lord, and then the new group of people pops up, and then you get a big lore dump about this other part of the world that we didn't do. I'm like, there's something there of substance. Shift it forward a bit, but you know that's not what they're there for.
I did enjoy like the like, I don't even like, not the name drop, but like the foreshadowing about the angels, about like, you know, when society reaches a certain point, it like the angels come and destroy it. Like they are not able to go beyond a certain point when it comes to technology within that world for who knows what reason. But it's like, oh yeah, those may be the end game villains for the Slime universe, or they might be in the next, like season 4 that's coming up. Enjoyed that. Caught up on Shangri-La Frontier. I just love the show. I just love the show. It's just so much fucking fun. The underwater level, and then them being like giving out like so much stuff is happening in like that universe, like every day. Like the fact that like he's at the gaming tournament and they have like 7 days to beat like the mythic boss and stuff like that, and like figure stuff out, and just. Yeah, I don't know. And then Homegirl, I already know that she's gonna get into Shangri-La Frontier. I already know she's gonna get into it. Like the world best, like the Homegirl, the the white girl, whatever, the white girl,
Yeah.
the white girl from America. Like, she's gonna get into Shangri-La Frontier and like become one of the crew or something like that. But even so, with the mecha stuff, I was just like, wow, they really gave us like 2 to 3 episodes of just like full mecha shit. Like, and
and that you go back to season 1, like when they would do cameo things from other games.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, these are also pretty interestingly thought out because it's clearly written by someone who loves games and actually knows something about the experience of being an actual gamer instead of like, I've heard about gamers before. Let me try to write something that is, whatever. So I appreciate a lot of those touches. Mike, with the complaint going way back is a lot of these like trapped in a game stories or, VR game stories. The game itself, the thing that the characters are interacting with, very rarely comes off like something anyone who liked video games would ever actually want to play. They are, even in the world that they're in, seem awkward to use, not particularly compelling to, there's no sense of like what it means to enjoy a video game. And that's always been what I like the most about Shangri-La Frontier, is that at the, minus some of the now like actual real mystery about what the fuck is actually going on.
Yeah.
Basically every character that you run into is someone who truly does love video games, loves the game they are playing, and has past history loving other video games. Yeah. And as a gamer, that's something that I can immediately attach to, even if there were, other issues with the show. Now, it doesn't hurt that like production value is high, characters are fun, the writing is pretty snappy, the jokes are actually funny, and they don't lean too much into the humor. The main character's abilities are the abilities of a very good gamer.
Literally.
And he doesn't necessarily know everything there is to know, so we get to learn along with him, which is in sort of a counterpoint to a lot of the VR game type storylines where the main character will be God's gift to gaming, but they also already know everything about the game and the world that they're in. So there's never an opportunity, like all the exposition, all the world building has to come from other characters because our main character is like the man.
Yeah.
And that's not the case in Shangri-La Frontier. So that means a lot of the confrontations, the battles, everything else. Like we're all learning at the same time. So it's really good.
It has one of my favorite gags. That's like similar to like Bofuri, which is like panning or like doing like scenes of the developers like losing their shit at like at his antics and stuff like that. Because Bofuri does the same thing where like she always finds some shit to make herself more OP, and then they'll do a scene with the developers being like, how the fuck did she find that shit? Like, are you kidding me? Like, she's even more powerful, and then they have to patch stuff into the game to make her less powerful, but then it makes the game harder for the general public. So it's just like, it's like an ever going cycle. And like with them, I like the fact that they were just like, he's not cheating, he's just really fucking good.
Yeah,
he's really fucking good. And they bicker about, I should, and learning, and they're bickering back and forth about, I told you should have you overtuned it, I should have made it harder, and blah blah blah. And nobody else would have been able to beat it. And they're just like, and then homeboy has to like gobble down like antacid pills because he's like, they're stressing me the fuck out, man. Like, I can't do that. Like that, I like that. I just like having that kind of like dynamic because you're seeing like multiple sides of it. And then who's even said that they're not even like trying to play the game with him at some point? Wow.
So 2 other series, I think they're related to each other, even though it's not immediately obvious, that I have been watching or finished watching. First was Lazarus, which is the Shinichiro Watanabe, sci-fi, sort of another spiritual successor to Cowboy Bebop, or at least that's what people would have you believe. I think like the production of the show leans into Bebop isms to remind you of stuff, especially in the opening and in some of the stuff that happens in the first couple of episodes, like the even like the vibe and the aesthetic is very jazzy. And I love me a good jazzy anime. There's too few of them in the world. It used to be a real vibe. Now you'd be lucky if you run into one. The main character Axel is very much a Spike type. I appreciate that he's supposed to be Brazilian, like canonically, and the cast is a very diverse cast, like diverse looking, diverse acting. I watched this one as a dub, and I'm not totally sure I love the dub, even though I feel like it's an easier way for me to watch it. Because I think it deserves to be on like a bigger screen. So I'm watching on like a TV instead of like monitor, blah blah blah. And I think it suffers from some awkward pacing issues, especially in the beginning, because the primary storyline that we're following is the chase for this Dr. Skinner, who has like gotten everyone hooked on this drug that turns out to like kill you. The weird part is like, that's the core of the story, is a hunt for this guy. It's also like the least compelling part of the story too. Like, Dr. Skinner's not really a character that's active in the plot. He shows up in like videos, and you kind of learn about him as a track. They kind of reverse engineer his life, and they talk to his adopted mother, and they go to all these different places to like learn about him while they're trying to track him down. And as they do that, they run into all the other seedier parts of the underworld and governments that are also trying to do the same thing. But there's stuff like in it that I think they were trying to be both comedy and social commentary in a way that like was very easy for something like Cowboy Bebop to do. And here it feels like kind of shoved into the plot. It kind of gets you away from what's going on, and it fucks up the pacing. But like, there are genuinely stretches of this show which I think are like beautiful to look at, and they hit every note that if you were someone who was like, man, they haven't made anything like Cowboy Bebop in 30 years, like this gets there. In particular, there's a hand-to-hand fight scene in an elevator. It's like a 5-on-1, and like, I know that it sounds ridiculous because 5-on-1 in an elevator is stupid. We know this from Captain America's Civil War. Like, everyone loves that scene. It's also one of the dumbest fucking scenes, and it's carried by the fact that the main character is a literal superhuman. This is like 5 or 6 normal people fighting in an elevator, but it's smooth, it's cool, it feels realistic, it feels like fun. Yeah. And there's a lot of stuff like that. There's a lot of fun stuff. Like, there's an episode where they have to do like a kind of sort of like a heist in a club with like a lecherous DJ, and like they give one of the female characters a lot to do while not separating her from the rest of the cast. It's like a team effort, but she's the one who beats his ass, and it's actually hilarious because she's like, they're killing people, but this nigga is all like, while she's like dealing with all the guards, she's beating this nigga's ass for being a gross, disgusting human being, and it's great. So there's a lot of good stuff to recommend. But again, I think like pacing is a little funky, and the English voice cast I don't think brought their best. I rewatched the first episode in Japanese, and it was like infinitely better, and I'm like, well, fuck, like it's better. But the problem is like it's kind of harder to follow. Default. There's a lot of like off-screen exposition that happens where like it'll be from a news article or like newscast, or like somebody chatting, at a off to the side, like not a main character speaking, but like an NPC. Yeah. And a lot of the world building is delivered that way, and it's kind of harder to follow when you're reading it. Whereas like if you have the dub, you can kind of concentrate on like the beauty of the animation and the music and like the vibes and that stuff. So it's like a mixed bag. So I bring that up to mention another series that I basically dropped, even though I feel bad about it, because like I definitely liked what I was seeing, but it was Moonrise on Netflix. And Moonrise is another one of those like let's go get like a bunch of famed animators from like other series. I think it was Masashi Koizuka is behind this one, and it's based on a book. So that's the first thing, is that
I've seen it it's been recommended to me on Netflix like every time I log in.
It's not, so it's a really interesting series because there's so many parts of it that shouldn't work creatively. So the general plot is that there's a conflict between Earth and the moon, and the main character is the son of some, very powerful developers who are responsible for basically creating they have like a mass driver thing that can like send things up and down from Earth and the moon, and like their company is responsible for building that, and he's the heir to that company. And the first episode, I'm not spoiling anything, is the disaster that kills his family and sets him up to want to take revenge on the rebels who are on the moon who may have engineered that sort of attack that happens. What I just said is a very concise synopsis. Unfortunately, the way they want to tell the story in Moonrise is very much like flashback, flash forward, flashback, flash forward. And outside of the first episode, which I think is actually pretty tight, the episodes that happen later are very hard to follow, even though there's a lot of really cool ideas and really good animation and a plot that like you can kind of sink your teeth into a little bit, because there's like, the Earth by building those mass drivers, the Earth got very rich, and the people on the moon kind of live in underground cities. You can't be on the surface. Obviously, it's not terraformed. And like their situation and the politics that lead to the rebellion are, I think, part of the message that the story wants to talk about. The problem is that like it's bogged down by a lot of weird directorial choices that it's hard for me to like I won't say like forgive it, because I enjoyed what I was watching, but like it gets in the way of something that's like really actually interesting. And I also want to add, they have some really cool concepts for like superpowers. So in this series, there's a technology that is you sort of like you kind of sort of become like a cyborg, kind of sort of hard to explain, but the way they express it is that they've got these capes. And I know it sounds fucking ridiculous, but like the superpowers come from the cape. But the way they use it and the way it's animated is fucking cool. Like it was like I always want like cool action shit that's like doing something new and like it's offbeat, but I didn't think about that. Now I want more. The action is fucking on point. Like I think Wit Studio is behind this. Like they stuck their fucking foot in some shit. And by the middle, like 5 or 6 episodes, you get some awesome, like military style confrontations that end in very traditional high-tech shonen battle shit. And it's like, this is awesome. But the direction and the pacing of the story that gets in the middle of that can take you out of it. Like, I don't want to prime anybody who hasn't seen it, but there's a very jarring event that happens, I think in episode 5 or 6, that would have been impactful if they had just directed, and when I say directed, like edited the actual episode differently. Like you had all the pieces and you edited the 2 episodes that like make this thing matter in the weirdest fucking way possible. I don't know why he did that, but every time it goes back to like the present and like the more action oriented political stuff, it's pretty good. Also, like the motivation for the character joining doesn't like it. You would think all the people involved around him are brain dead, like because he literally gets drafted to become a super soldier right after they arrest him for the murder of his family. So like the motivations are all kind of fucked up. Like my reaction to that would not be, I need to join the government military to go to the moon to fight other niggas. I'd be like, motherfucker, you just arrested me for killing my own family. Like, fuck out of here. So, they try to explain it, but again, it's like, it's just the editing and the direction that just fuck with it. If they just told the story in order chronologically, I think it would have gone over better than like slashing it up. And there's a lot of really fucking cool shit in here. Like, it makes me feel bad.
The cool shit sounds cool. Like, I want to go see it. I want to go check it out because, like, I mean, I love mecha battles. Like, So like,
yeah,
I want to
like
be
there's
like, I
some
want to see that
like
shit.
when I say like it's unique, like I don't think I've ever seen you know what was that series? It's like a remake of a much older anime where it's like there's like this, is it Cyborg 7 or something like that? Not the
Double O,
not
yeah.
the Samurai 8, but the one that's like shit.
I think that's right. Or
same, like it's a Tezuka, it's a remake of a Tezuka show from like the 50s or the
Cyborg
60s.
009.
Yes, that's the one. Okay. So it compares very positively to the vibe you get from watching a lot of the action scenes in Cyborg 009, but imagine that with a much more grounded, like military inspired tactics, because they literally spend a whole episode which is like in a flashback to the training arc where they're teaching all of the main characters how to use this technology. And when you see them incorporating the tactics that they're using, like someone sat down and thought about what would 0G combat with super suits and these like crazy cape things that can like, you can manifest them to like block like projectiles and like go invisible and do all this stuff, but like it's fucking cool. Like it's actually one of like cool future tech that you're like, damn, this is awesome. And you watch that whole episode and you're like, damn, they put a lot of thought into this. Why the fuck is it here? Why wasn't this episode 2? What the fuck?
Okay.
So I sound more frustrated than I am. I guess I feel a little guilty dropping it because the director Masashi Koizuka put out this very impassioned plea on social media for people to go watch the show because Netflix did not advertise it, and it was gonna die in obscurity because it wasn't getting advertised. And honestly, that's what got me up off my ass to go check it out. And I was like, damn, there's a lot of really cool shit in here. The fuck are you doing with the
Okay. Well, yeah, they didn't really advertise it. I mean, it was recommended to me, but I watch a lot of random anime shit on Netflix, like reruns. So
yeah, I'm just hesitant to say it's like good. I think like if you like it, you will love it. If you are put off by some of the things that I have noticed, you will be like disappointed. But it is I think ultimately it is worth watching. I need to finish it. I have like 4 or 5 episodes, but there's some slick fucking shit.
How long
people get fucking murked. Like the main character has a fucking body count. Let me be very clear. This is not one of those like Naruto, power of friendship, talk no jutsu shit. Like when they get busy, they're not just fighting robots. They're fighting flesh and blood people. Some of them who have the same powers as them. They're taking niggas' heads off. Characters in the main team die. Like,
okay.
There's a lot of good shit in there. I just, man.
Yeah, you're saying you don't want to recommend it, but this is a very good recommendation on my end.
It is.
Like,
no,
I'm sorry.
I guess what I'm saying is I don't want to say that this is great. I want to say that it is very good, and it would have been great if there had been some basic different decisions made. That's all I'm trying to get at. Okay. And I just feel bad that like I got to a certain thing in a certain episode and I have not picked it back up because I was irritated by that. And I felt guilty.
Okay. How long are the episodes? How many of them are there?
That is good. Interesting you bring that up. Some of them are like your very typical like 21 to 23 minute runtime, but there are a couple episodes that run long. So like 30 minutes. I think the first episode runs long. I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Because there's a lot there, and there's some actual characters with actual like,
Did it premiere with a dub?
I think I wound up switching to the subtitle original Japanese voice, but like, I think I watched it because I know somebody who's on the voice cast. And so I was like, oh, let me just see what they're doing. And then I heard it and I was like, okay, but the rest of these, I need to hear it with some oomph. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, no. But the thing is, a lot of the characters are not Japanese. And because it takes place in a grounded setting, like, like yeah. So it's a lot like Lazarus. Like there's a pretty diverse cast, pretty diverse like concepts there. So you know what? I'll stop beating around the bush. I recommend both. They are not going to be for everybody, but I think they are both worth watching. And you can stream both of them. One's on Moonrise on Netflix. You can watch Lazarus on Max.
Oh, it's on Max. Okay.
Yeah, or the Adult Swim app if you have cable.
Okay. I was gonna say earlier because you were talking about like the dub and the sub. I keep trying to rewatch Cyberpunk Edge Runners with the dub, and I just can't do it.
That's interesting. I watched it with the dub first.
Yeah, the first.
So I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. And I think I saw some clips with the sub, but I never went in to hear the Japanese voices. I should.
Yeah.
I
just can't. And that's just me personally. I'm not saying it's bad, but I'm just like, I just can't do this. Like,
I mean, I don't live in the dub world. I'll tell you that right now. Just those two. Oh, what was the other one? That ninja show that was on Adult Swim recently? It was like cyberpunk ninja stuff. What was that one?
Let me see. Ninja Kamui.
Yeah, Ninja Kamui. I watched that one as a dub as well because I knew it was gonna be fucking stupid. So like, just let me focus on the action, bro. I don't need anything else.
Was that the one? Wait, wasn't that? How long did that come out?
Last year.
Was that last year? Yeah, was that the one where everybody was like, it was cool until it wasn't, and then everyone just
they glazed it up because the first episode is legit hard as fuck. Like
okay,
it is, but and there's actually I'm we'll go into this one a little bit too. It's a perfect example of like style over substance. Like it's very stylish, and there's some genuinely cool stuff. Like there's a fight that happens in a pizza takeout place that's like trippy and really cool, but like the story is not good. And the more you they spend time on anyone other than the main character, like the police officer and his partner, which is like a sub, like the tone is all over the place, and it really just like is jarring. So stay for the action and just don't think about the rest of it.
Okay.
And they had a nerve to get a black man with a black man's voice and have him do some dumb shit. Like, can this nigga be like? Can he be cool? Can he be Superfly? Can he be Shaft? Something like? Why's he gotta be a goof? Like, I didn't think that's what you were gonna do with that character.
I think I saw something. There was something about like some role in Bleach. Was it Yoichi? I think I saw that at like a while ago.
Yeah, the voice actor got switched. Yeah,
got swapped, and then like the OG voice actor was like being rude online or something, being like, "Why wouldn't it be this way?" or something. But I was like, "Oh,
yeah." I mean,
interesting.
What do I remember about that? I mean, the controversy was both that they switched the voice actor, but also that they didn't tell her that she found out when it was announced that she wasn't returning. And then that's what prompted the tweet. It wasn't her going at the new voice actor. It was more about like, well, damn, like, I mean, get done like that. But there's like more to it than just, her reaction, because one of the things that is going on in the voice acting industry is, at least in the last 5 years, that there's been a lot of consolidation. And union versus non-union work is a real serious thing. So basically, if you're hearing a dub today, it's a good chance that it's non-union. And it's a good chance that when you see your favorite actor not come back to reprise a role, it's because of essentially a kind of union.
Well, is the strike over right now? Or there was a strike?
There was a strike, and the end result was there were some again, contract concessions for the unions happened, but what's been going on is that basically a lot of the VA work has been pushed to Texas. And if you don't live in Texas and you're basically not part of like the Crunchyroll whatever network, which is now pretty much not all non-union, but like they're more and more non-union than ever, you just don't get the callback. So when certain voice actors get replaced, what the press release, if there's any PR about it, they'll say, oh, it's because of cost. But what that's a buzzword for, like a PR speak for, we didn't want to pay the union rate, so we're gonna go with somebody else who's cheaper.
Yeah. Sounds on brand.
Yeah. But this is just what I hear from people who are, doing it. That's a thing. Now, if you're really big, if you're like a very well-known name, like AJ Beckles or Zeno Robinson, shout out to those guys. Don't worry, I'll be back on Apex soon. Don't worry. They get work, right? Because they're known and they're well represented, and they're typically called in to do stuff. But if you're somebody who's maybe not at that level, or you're kind of taking the base union rate for support voices or the things, you are now in a tough spot because they've consolidated a lot of it. And there's not, like, I know, like Funimation has basically shut down their shop, and they've outsourced a lot of that. So, things are happening.
Is that it? I think we hit all the points.
I think we hit some stuff. No, I mean, we've been on a little hiatus, but we're back in action now.
Yeah, I mean,
we have a new season coming up.
I haven't looked at any of the new season stuff for the most part. Oh God, what? Wait. Actually, isn't it like a stacked season of like returns?
I mean, I feel that way. I feel like there's a lot of.
Oh, Dress Up Darling's coming back. Oh, fuck yeah.
Like I mean, it's like a lot of stuff I like. It's all coming back.
Damn,
like a hell of a lot of shit that I like. I mean, Don Don is like right there. You know what would be interesting? We don't need to do like a full season review right now, but like what happened to Sakamoto Days has to be studied.
So I didn't even watch Sakamoto Days. I saw people recommend it like nonstop, and I was like, yeah, I'll catch up on it like one day. But then near the end of the run of it, people were just like, oh, it was so boring. I can't watch it. Like it wasn't what I thought it was. Like and I was like, oh, but I heard the manga is like really good. So like,
I liked it. I liked the first season, but I was also a manga reader, and when they first announced that it was getting, not only was it like getting an anime, which I felt was like kind of early in the run, because I think when they announced it, they hadn't even cleared 100 chapters. But when it was announced, that was like a year and some change before it came out.
Yeah.
But like when it got announced, there's a part of me in the back of my head like, do people know what this is? Like, you might see some shit that's like part of his like the flashback of that character. But like, are people expecting to get super hype about a fat old man with a beard, like having
they were
non-deadly battles inside of a convenience store and then turning everybody he fights into a worker? Is that like that's, I like that. Manga is great. You're not gonna hang like an international fandom on top of that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean,
it sounds like a good premise, but
Yeah. But like the way the hype cycle went for Sakamoto Days was like, it went from this is literally peak to damn, this shit's trash. And I'm like, nothing changed. It was the same.
It just is what it is.
Exactly. I wish like we were on our shit enough, I'd have like a meme board where I could put like the dead dove, from Arrested Development, the dead dove meme, where Michael opens the refrigerator and pulls out a paper bag that says dead dove don't eat, and then he opens and looks inside and he's like, oh, I don't know what else I was thinking. It was there was a dead dove, right? Like that's what's in there. So like Sakamoto Days, like what were you expecting? What? All the like cool shit that people got hyped for were all the flashback stuff, but that's not a majority of the story. I don't know.
Well,
people got weird expectations, man.
Well, I hope it comes. Well, there's more to be adapted, so hopefully it comes back. I mean, I want to check it out.
There's a shit ton. I'm just saying, like, I think it's done well. I think, like, over like viewership wise, because it got made because the manga was and continues to be, one of the top rated things in Jump. So that's why it exists. But like, as far as like Western audiences getting their, first hyped out of their minds and then when they finally see what all the hype was about, they're like, oh, this is what it is? Like, yeah, bro, that's what it is. Meanwhile, we get Dress Up Darling season 2, so it's like, you know, you can forget about anything else, because both the romance folks and the Gooners are gonna have at it.
Oh, I still remember that fucking scene in the room. All right. I mean, I'm looking forward to it just because I love their dynamic. So, yay. But yeah, the Gooners are gonna eat. They're gonna.
But eat. I mean, the hopefully the standout from next season will be Gachiakuta, because I think that's a series that deserves to win.
I think the mangaka worked under Okubo.
Yes.
She worked under. Or is
yep.
Is it
yep.
she?
Okubo put his stamp on her, and you know, as a manga reader, I was like, oh, this is like straight up shonen good shit, like the good stuff, you know.
I mean, I love the trailer.
Yes, like trailer, music, the art style translates well. You know me and like these manhwa adaptations, you gotta figure out a way to make a good, unique art style translate. It's not just the general outline of these characters. Like you gotta get like, and Gachiakuta has this like very street, hip hop, tagging culture, graffiti culture vibe to the art. Like even the way the characters are drawn, thick lines, and like everything's very high contrast and punchy. And when I saw that first trailer, I was like, you got it. Y'all figured it out. You did this one good. And it's another one that kind of gets to the shits. So people shouldn't be too bored. I hope not anyway.
Isekai Refrigerator got a second season. You know,
kill me,
our vending machine. Okay.
You liked it though, right? You liked the first season?
I didn't watch the whole first season. I watched like the first 3 episodes, and I was like,
okay, I
can see how this is interesting, but I definitely wasn't like, I gotta come back because like blah 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 blah. It was like they took him to a town. He became like a part of the daily life, and there's like a system, like he does like upgrades or like inventory offerings and things like that. So I understand why he's included in like, you know, the parties or things like that, but it just wasn't enough for me to basically like rush back to it and be like, oh my god, I wonder what's gonna happen next. I guess compared to like Trapped in a Dating Sim, where I was like, this is ridiculous and I love it. Like I need to know what happens next because like this is so much fun. And that it was kind of just like, okay, yeah, there's a lot of world building, and it probably did more beyond the 3 episodes that I watched, but I wasn't pressed to come back to it. So, you know, I just did.
I feel you. I'm also looking forward to Clavitas. I guess we'll do a full review, so I won't go into it, but like, give me original stuff, right? Original fantasy. It also seems hyper violent in places. I hope it's good. I don't know too much about the studio that's doing it. So I've done a bunch of stuff. I don't know how much of it's any good. So, you know, they were a helper studio on Grand Order, but it looks good. The trailer had me a little pumped, and then I probably will just be all over panty and stocking every week. I don't know if we'll talk about it, but like,
oh yeah, well,
I mean, I need that in my veins.
The fact that we even got that back is kind of crazy to me.
I know, but you know,
because a lot of people didn't even really know about it to begin with. So, like,
and them niggas on some fucking bullshit. I think I rewatch Panty and Stocking like every 3 years.
Some crazy like I do like shit, man.
Like I'll like remember a scene and then I'll be like, yo, let me fire that shit up. And it's always like, even like whether it's the dub or the sub, actually, they're both great.
Yeah, I actually watched a bit of that. No, I think I only watched that in. Did I only watch that in dub? I think I only watched that in dub. Either way, phenomenal. Short Shorts Boys coming back, Magician, and then Dr. Stone. I mean, yeah, basically, there's a lot of stuff that's just automatic. Like, yeah, I'm watching. Oh, Sakamoto Days is coming back. Like,
yeah,
this season. Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay.
That's what I'm saying. Like, yeah. I just think that shit has to be studied, but we'll see.
But yeah, it seems like a really good season. And it's a good season without Demon Slayer, surprisingly. Like, there's no Demon Slayer in sight. It's just strictly movies from here on out. Ain't no more more seasons. Make some room. I mean, also we got Seventh Prince coming back too. I mean, come on, man. Short Boy. All right, well,
yeah,
I guess
we eating good. this summer.
Yeah. And see, people kept. I listen, and I get it, but it's like it's as you said when the show first came out. There's a specific audience that are watching it for him in the attire, and then there's the audience that are just like, this is some cool shit. Like
I don't fuck with these Futa niggas. Like
well they.
No.
Unfortunately, they're spending money enough for them to basically be like, we should make some more versions of this.
You're not wrong.
But I am happy because I like even from the first episode when he was doing like the practice sword fight with her, the comedy, the action bits that we were getting, and just like the insanity of the power level. It's like growth. I'm like, yeah, all right. I love it. Give it to me. And the fact that they showed a grown-up version, he like transformed into a grown-up version of himself where he's completely regularly dressed. So the author knows that he can put him in clothes, but he's like, but I'm not going to. I'm just not going to. Like he's gonna.
He's like, fuck it. Fuck that. We're gonna dress a girl in slime. Yeah. All right. Okay, nigga, I see what you're doing. You ain't gonna get me like that. Not today, Satan.
But yeah, Miss Little Girl, like when the Assassin's Guild girl. Now she gave me more pause than he did with her. Like
not today, Satan.
Her outfit, I was like, I don't know about this. Don't know
exactly. Not today. All right.
Yeah.
And I love me some trash. That's some like grade A trash, but it's trash. But you're not gonna get me.
Yeah, but it is trash. Yeah, it makes me. I'm like, yeah, this is something I can't watch this like on a commute. Like I can't do that. Like,
nah, bro.
Put
this one on.
That's social suicide.
Turn off all the lights.
Yeah.
No one's gonna see this shit. For different reasons than that fucking isekai shit. Like, it's not cheese. It's trash. All right. I like cheese too. This is trash. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay. So you can find us on the socials again. I guess Twitter does still exist. I have been on Blue Sky, man.
I've been on Blue Sky.
I know I've missed a whole bunch of stuff on Twitter, or we get it like hours or so or a day or two after. I don't care. Just
the better world.
Going to Twitter and just like dipping, because a lot of the video game companies haven't come to Blue Sky. So if they're like talking about or releasing some, like Monster Hunter, I didn't even know that shit was happening until somebody mentioned Update 2, and I was like, oh, let me go check their Twitter. And then they had all the info on Twitter. They're like, there's no Capcom or like Monster Hunter like on Blue Sky yet. Yeah. So I'm like, every time I'll occasionally go over there and I'll be like, I just need a little bit of info.
So the only thing you know what, like there's like features that I wish one could take a feature from the other. Man, the list on Blue Sky though, that you could just subscribe to a feed or to a list, makes life so much easier.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
And the blocking too. You can block lists.
Oh yeah, the block list, baby.
Yeah.
Let me tell you.
Phenomenal. I haven't seen a single stan the entire time I've been on Blue Sky. Not a barb, not primarily the barbs. Yeah. Haven't seen a single one of them. While on Twitter, they were everywhere for no reason. And it's like, yeah, y'all have the right to exist and be around, but it's like me being like, oh yeah, this artist is really cool. Oh, but Nikki would never. It's like, no. Wait, we didn't even bring her name up. Why are you here? Like, what? So, yeah, I guess I can post it over there. But yeah, there, TikTok, Blue Sky. Yeah, we'll have clips up. Way more than you should.
We back in business, all right? Tell the streets.
Tell the streets and let us know what you're watching. Like, for at least for this season. Ironically, we did get a request for an episode. Someone wanted us to do a Boys Over Flowers episode.
I wouldn't mind that. I think I've seen some of it already.
I thought that was Boys Over Flowers is huge in Asia. Like, there are just so many adaptations, and then there's like the original like manga. There's the Korean drama for Boys Over Flowers, which is like huge, like Gujunpo, like all that kind of stuff. And I was just like, oh, this is interesting.
Yeah, I think it was like, as an OG anime watcher. It was something that existed and was present to me, like even when I was literally growing up. So I've seen some of it. I don't know, like I used to know a lot more about like what the actual plot. So I guess if I saw any version of it made sense, then I would pretty much the same. Yeah, but like because I remember like this is like pre like K-drama, but like when Meteor Garden came out, and this is like the early 2000s. Yeah, and I remember I was in like a anime like chat group, and people, all the girls obviously, were like losing their fucking shit. And I was like, what the fuck is this Meteor Garden shit? And then I was like, this is just fucking Hana Yuri Dango. It's just it's just Chinese people doing it.
Literally. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think so I watched like a little bit of that. But like again, whatever do they want us to like watch and review? I mean, I'll reread some of the manga. Like it doesn't bother me.
I don't mind reading it, but I don't think I'm gonna watch it because I didn't hear that many good things. But I've also watched the full Korean adaptation of it, and it was great until it wasn't. And that's about it. Like it is what it is. But I do have like a comparison point when it comes to like an adaptation and an adapted version of it to that. So we could check that out. We could do a little segment on that in the future.
Yeah, I'm not against it at all.
Request. So like,
yeah, I'm not against it.
Don't be fearful. And they emailed us. They didn't say it on social media. They found the email.
That's fucking wild, bro.
And said, please do an episode on this.
What's funny about that is like, like, again, I'm not like a big like romance anime or manga person, but like that's like some sacred text shit.
It is.
Right? Like
yeah.
Like that. Like Hana Yuri Dango is like some sacred text shit. So the idea that I would get a request to go back and revisit that in 2025 is wild to me. Wild, literally wild. Because that's like 30. I saw this shit 30 years ago, bro.
And there haven't been any like announcements with it or anything like that, like recent that I haven't seen.
If there is, I wouldn't know.
Yeah, I wouldn't know. But yeah, hit us up. You can email us to let us know what you're doing or watching, and yeah, because well, what a great season is to get started back up with.
What a time to be alive, let me tell you.
Okay. Oh wait, you can find me on Blue Sky, Kuro Shore on Blue Sky, and then what else? Oh wow, do I even use the Instagram anymore? Yeah, Kuro Shore, Blue Sky, Instagram. I did start doing live reactions on Twitch. So if you want to see like live reactions that will be posted to the channel at a later date, then check the community page on like Kurosho on YouTube. I'll let people know about an hour or two before I go live. And as of now, we've been watching To Be Hero, Kowloon Generic Romance, catching up on Apothecary Diaries, and then also the Swordsman show from last season, the Country Bumpkin Swordsman.
Oh yeah, that one.
Which is surprisingly like good. Like, oh yeah, from old Country Bumpkin to Master Swordsman. Yeah. Honestly, I like it. I mean, definitely, the titties are there.
Jeez, bro.
But also, like, they be like, niggas be wanting to fight, and he be like, I don't want to fight you, but I will. And it's just like, okay.
All the what that show found is the intersection between the like Hema niggas that want to do like real sword combat stuff and then like the weebs. So like that's always been an intersection, but it's like the fans of that show are literally the you studied in school while I studied the blade. It's like it's literally that guy. Like that's what it was made for. And now they're all fucking middle-aged and they want to look at some big floppy anime titties. And it's like, well, look, he used proper form when he took the stance of the hawk. It's like,
I just have to say the opening almost turned me off from the show because the titties were going crazy during the fight scene. Like they were going so fucking crazy. And then I was like, I want to see what the show's about. And I really enjoyed the first episode. So I was like, shit, I'm gonna keep going. Because I did enjoy it. Enjoy it. But I can't. I watched the opening. Like the one girl, I think she got like red hair. She looked like jumped off the roof and they just went like that.
Yeah, like,
yeah. I was like, yo,
what are we doing?
That is not.
Well, listen. Next time we'll have a conversation about fan service because like I'm a fan service defender, but But right, it's like, but you also understand, like, if you go down that road, that just means that you have a lot more work to do to make me take what you're doing seriously.
Because my dress up darling, masters
Thank you.
of it, masters.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So we'll get back to it, but that's what's up. You can hit me up on Blue Sky. My whole name, James Morris King, all one word on Blue Sky. I mean, Twitter exists. It's at Neural Handshake, but I don't be logging in unless it's a desperate measure or somebody sends me a direct message. Do not DM me if you don't know me, because I will not respond. But yeah, you can find me there. You can find me actually on YouTube at Alexander AELEXANDER. I'll be posting clips from some of my Apex escapades.
Oh, what?
The ones that are G-rated and not gonna get anybody canceled. I'm also same Alexander on Twitch. Have not been on there. Was really planning to get in on Monster Hunter, and then I just started playing and not streaming, and it's like, bro, what you doing? So Tile Update 2, I'm in it to win it. I'll be up on there. Also Magic Online, I play a lot of Arena, and with the ban list, I feel it's safe to get back in the water in ranked. So, you know, hit me up anytime, but I'll be trying to stream, trying to do whatever.
Nice. I haven't gotten any fucking notifications. Wait a second, YouTube. They didn't put. You've been posting your videos? I didn't get no.
Not in a long time. Not in a long time.
Oh,
we about to be up on it. We getting back in the mix. I used to like drop some like Halo clips back in the day.
And, hell yeah, hop back on. You probably got fans waiting.
Listen, I'm feeling it. I'm feeling Apex these days, so that's why I'm like, okay, we could do this. Plus they did just buff my main Watson. All right.
Oh, okay.
You know.
Okay.
It is what it is. All right, but
all right. We shall catch y'all next time. Bye.
Peace out.